Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to do the top 5 perfumes from Chanel for the month of September. I love these videos because they're just so relaxing to me. You know, Chanel is one of my favorite brands. Favorite perfume brand, really. It's been around for over 100 years now, so it's a respectable brand. And well, as much as we know the times that we're living in, a lot of fragrance houses tend to water down their perfumes. Everything tends to become just a little bit cheaper, chemical in a weird way. Sometimes chemical can also be good. But Chanel always, no matter how many times there is a reformulation that we smell out with our noses, somehow they still manage to always convince me that the fragrances that I'm smelling are top notch, at least on my skin. And latest, we find that out in the dry down. When the fragrance starts drying down on your skin, that's when you latest figure out the perfume is good quality or not, because the dry down can be very messy. It's complicated to deliver a good dry down. You need good ingredients for that, good quality ingredients for that. So let's get to it. First, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together there as well for extra perks. Thank you to my members and patrons who have already pledged. Thumb up the video. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. First perfume, and speaking of reformulations, this one really knocks it out of the ballpark for me. Of the three reformulated from the family of Cristal, this one really nails it for me. And we are talking about Cristal Eau de Parfum. With the green screen that I'm using, it's a little bit difficult to see all the green facets of this perfume. That's why it kind of tends to go transparent on camera, but this is the reformulated version. As you can see, Cristal Eau de Parfum is now basically available in the bottle, such as the number 5 Eau de Parfum and Coco Noir Eau de Parfum, Coco Eau de Parfum. I mean, they're kind of, generalizing all of them. It is a little bit of a pity that we lost the original spray bottle of Cristal Eau de Parfum, but you could check out my review of this perfume. I'm not going to lie, I really, really like the fact that Cristal has been given the classic bottle, the classic Chanel bottle. It just kind of consolidates its existence within the Chanel fragrance family. And let's spray it on. Oh my gosh. This one is something else, you guys. So gorgeous. The citrus is in here. The aldehydes in here. That vetiver vibe going on in there. There is no oak moss or tree moss in Eau de Parfum. You can find those in the Eau de Toilette. But nevertheless, this is kind of like a warmer version of the Eau de Toilette. So there's jasmine in here. It's a fresh, watery, woodsy, green Chypre-esque vibe. Original Jacques Paul's from 1995, I think 1995, has been transformed by Olivier Polge, his son, into this version, the new reformulated version. In the woods here, as you can see, I prompted Bubbles the Bot. Isn't this gorgeous, to generate kind of a late summer vibe in the woods. We're walking through the woods in late summer, and it's such a gorgeous atmosphere, a lot of berries everywhere. And these berries are mutating and they're kind of growing on the trees as well, almost as if they were apples. But these are not apples. Don't be fooled. They are berries. They are mutated berries, reformulated berries. See what we did there? Now, there are no berries in Cristal, but Cristal is so gorgeous, and we're going to get to the berries as well in other perfumes in my selection today. But Cristal is just nature. It's so bizarre how this one delivers nature to me. It feels as though you are walking through nature. It smells so natural. Even though it's a perfume, there's a lot of synthetics in here. It mimics so beautifully September kind of twilight. It can be also September mornings in nature, but it can also be September twilight. And there's a lot of mystery in this perfume. It can kind of go into this darkness, but it can also go a little bit more towards the light. It's an abstraction, but a natural abstraction. It smells like the end of something and the beginning of something new. It also smells like the beginning of the more humid, cold season as summer fades and autumn begins. In some parts of the world, you're going to experience more rain and showers and mist and fog, but make it natural. But natural a la Chanel natural. Chanel's natural is slightly different from our standard concept of what natural means. Chanel nature is an aldehydic nature. Chanel nature is an abstraction of nature. You know, from the moment she created with Ernest Beau number 5 in 1921, we have had a concept of Byzance and abstraction within the future. There's a little bit of Art Deco there, an abstraction of nature. Chanel number 5 delivers the smell of snow. So go check out one of many reviews on Chanel number 5 Parfum that I've made on my channel throughout the years. And you will notice I explain in detail what the abstraction of snow meant for Ernest Beau and how number 5 is an abstraction of nature in that respect. So Cristal is no different. Now, the original Cristal Eau de Toilette, because first it came out only as an EDT in the early 70s, is the last fragrance created by Henri Robert for the House of Chanel. And then Jacques Polge takes over, and then in the 80s, 90s, in the 90s, he creates the Eau de Parfum version of Cristal, softening it up a little bit. You know, no more heavy-duty, dry, oak moss, vetiver, ashtray accord that smelt of Coco Chanel's obsession of cigarettes and ash, which, again, check out my review of Cristal Eau de Toilette to see and hear more details about her life, her last years, and how Henri Robert was inspired by her to create the last perfume, dedicated, like an homage to Coco Chanel. Jacques Polge delivers a friendlier, more user-friendly version of Cristal with his Eau de Parfum version, and then Olivier Polge softens it up, rounds it off, powders it up just a smidge, adds a little bit more citruses, and delivers even more nature vibes in this perfume. But the abstraction of it, the end of something and the beginning of something new. Perfect for the end of summer, you guys. If you can find it, because Cristal Eau de Parfum is an elusive character. In fact, the Eau de Parfum has not been released worldwide. For whatever reason, Chanel decided not to release it in the United States of America. It has been released in Europe. Australia, I'm not so sure. But you gotta kind of fight to get this one. It's not available everywhere. They've also decided to not distribute the Eau de Toilette everywhere, but the Eau de Toilette is available, thankfully, in the States. So, but this one, Eau de Parfum for September. The Eau de Toilette is a different beast altogether. They're different. They're quite different. Oh, man, this is so beautiful. Very September vibes in the rain and walking through nature. Now, the next one is represented in this picture. So as I was prompting Bubbles, and it's also fascinating to think about AI. A lot of people are so against AI and, you know, they say AI stealing everything. I don't believe AI stealing. It depends how you utilize it. Everything can be used for good or for bad. I have an interesting relationship with my AI because I indicate exactly what I want, and then I keep fine-tuning what I want. So I give a prompt to the type of landscape that I want, like this one. And then the AI delivers an image, and then I say, change this, modify that, add more of this, take away some of that, zoom in to the left, enhance the right, give me more trees. Like, I artistically direct and I tell exactly what I want. And the more I fine tune what I want, the more the AI keeps delivering something that comes as close as possible to my vision. So for me personally, this is kind of what I envisioned in my mind, and I managed to communicate what I wanted through words to the AI, and then this was delivered. And when I make my selection videos, and in some cases also the reviews of individual perfumes, I think very deeply about how I want my background to look like and how I wanted to simulate the mood and the vibe of the smell of these perfumes that I'm talking about. So obviously we still are not so advanced that we could deliver odorama. You can't smell through the camera what I'm describing to you. You cannot, unfortunately, not yet smell these perfumes. But I think to myself, the visual aspect is so important. So we try to come as close as possible as we can to the smell. And the visuals are really a big part of this. And so I think delivering a back, thanks to AI, I can do that now. I wasn't capable of doing that years ago with the amount of videos that I post. Could you imagine if I went into nature trying to catch this photo and then by hand retouch and paint stuff? I mean, there would be no way that I would have enough time to create a different background for every video. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have AI in my life for this purpose. I don't know about other purposes, but for now, for this purpose, it really works for me. And so another prompt that I gave the AI for this background was, like I said, we want this feel of the mist and the slight humidity in the air. There's sun over there, but there's also darkness, green, and nature, but also mutations and morphing of things in nature. And it's a tapestry. And I wanted this to look almost as if you were kind of squint your eyes, it's almost giving texture of tweed, of yellow, gold, brown, dark green, dark blue, navy, red vibes. If we were to envision this as a tweed, as a thick woven, you see it kind of keeps going in the distance, it never really ends. It's a thick woven, fascinating, very complex Chanel tweed. So I wanted a natural vibe for a tweed that almost gives us hand embroidered haute couture. And when it comes to haute couture, there's only one Chanel perfume that delivers the haute couture vibe, and Jacques Polge together with Christopher Sheldrake really delivered the mood of Chanel haute couture with 31 Rue Cambon. And this one in particular is the eau de toilette concentration. The eau de toilette concentration is printed at the back of the sticker. You can see very faded, well, the print is a very light gray. It's intentionally like that. It didn't fade in the sun. I do not keep this perfume in the sun. So this is an eau de toilette. I have backups of the eau de toilette because as I heard back in late 2015 that in 2016 they would discontinue the eau de toilettes of the Les Exclusives, I stocked up on 31 Rue Cambon. Now we have a little bit of Cristal here, but I am wearing Rue Cambon on my chest. Also, I wore this shirt on purpose today because it's also giving me this forest vibe. So no detail is left unturned, unspoken for. Everything is holistic, but also every step of the way when it comes to perfumes, when it comes to me publicly talking about them, everything is dosed perfectly. Because also these perfumes are constructed so perfectly and the ingredients are dosed so perfectly by the master perfumers that have worked on them. So I think to give them the proper respect, we deliver also visuals and hopefully also a discourse that matches. And if you're enjoying this discourse, be sure to thumb up the video and to comment down below. It really means the world to me and it really helps out the channel. Thank you so much for everybody who's already subscribed, by the way. So this is a very interesting Chypre, modern Chypre, but haute couture. It's so complex, so textured and layered. Check out my review of 31 Rue Cambon on my channel, also available here on my channel. Man, this one is so complex. There's a lot of patchouli in here, labdanum. There are citruses in the opening, of course, the aldehydes, but jasmine is there. But this thing is so deep, and we are now the entire tapestry and texture of this fragrance that's supposed to represent the main house of Chanel and the address where her haute couture shows used to take place when Coco was alive at 31 Rue Cambon. So this is the heart of Chanel Haute Couture. I'm still going to spray it, even though this thing is intense. And you can see, I got this bottle in 2016. And I remember exactly where I got it. It's a very special bottle to me. I got this one in Venice at the Chanel Beauty Boutique in Venice, Italy. So this one has an extra place in my heart. Batch code 7201. So, it's been a while. And of course, these batch codes repeat every 8 to 9 years. So just a couple of years ago, we had the seven batch codes. But then 9 years prior to that, we had the sevens as well. Mm. Man, the older this one gets, and this one has marinated quite a bit, you can see how beautifully ambery this color has become. It smells, man. I mean, this one ages like fine wine. It really, really. I smell this and I feel like I'm back in the 60s. Okay, to a time when Coco was still alive and thriving and working. And it's just imbued with memory and Chanel DNA. I don't know, how they did it, but they did it. And it does smell after so many years. The top notes are slightly the citrus, the bergamot in there is it bites a little, but that doesn't matter because the dry down as it starts kicking in, it's so majestically warm and woven so gently, softly, elegantly by hand. It is a Chanel tweed, and it's a Chanel haute couture tweed. That's how this thing smells. Mm. Majestic, and it's just the right amount of textiles woven together, including cashmere, wool, silk, those materials that are so beautiful for September because they keep you warm, but they're very breathable. So they help you kind of alter your physical state, meaning when it's a little bit cooler outside, how in September it can be really still hot in some areas or warm, and then all of a sudden a cloud passes by and it gets kind of chilly, then it gets warm again. And so it's kind of difficult to decide what are you going to wear. And a Chanel tweed, oh man, with cashmere and silk, perfection for September because it cools you down when it's kind of hot outside, it warms you up if it's cool outside. It's just perfection. And this one also has the right amount of powderiness and wetness. So it can feel cooler or warmer depending on how the temperature is outside. It counters that constantly. It evolves. It's very mobile. It adapts to your body just like an haute couture dress would. So this one really, really, really is very tailored to the body, I feel, of its wearer. It is not one of those loves at first sight when you are, for the first time ever, experiencing the Les Exclusives range because other perfumes maybe fall more into your field of olfactive sensory of smell-o-vision. Usually the first ones people are enamored with would be Coromandel, lately even Le Lion de Chanel, but it's usually Coromandel, Beige, Sycamore, Gardenia. And yet 31 Rue Cambon, is a masterpiece that, of course, the notion of haute couture, it's not like, oh, everybody wants to wear haute couture, but not everybody can afford it. Even if everybody could afford it, not everybody would understand it. So it's about understanding and loving certain aspects of this particular art form that makes you appreciate it and want you to wear it. And same with this perfume. Yes, it's an expensive perfume, but even before it was so expensive, when the prices were still affordable for Chanel standards, we're talking back in 2016, even then, when it was much more affordable than today, even then, people were not going crazy about this one. It wasn't sold en masse, but it was there. And it wasn't the most popular of the Les Exclusives fragrances for a reason, because it is such a complex tapestry. It's complicated to enjoy and understand the beauty of this perfume because it's not very streamlined. It's not very one directional. It goes in many different directions and it kind of weaves it all together and then it splits all apart so you can get to see all the details and zoom into the beautiful artistry of haute couture, and then it tightens itself up again and then you feel the warmth of it and then it breathes and opens up again and then you're cooler. So perfect for September. Perfect for this transitional phase from warm end of summer into warm, cooler, cold autumn. So, such a beautiful perfume for September. Seriously, whether it be the eau de toilette, if you're lucky enough to have still an eau de toilette batch, but also in the current eau de parfum concentration, which was formulated by Olivier Paul, Jacques' son. Even the EDP is gorgeous. It's a little bit warmer. So the difference between the two is you will feel a little bit more cold. This one is more razor sharp than the EDP. So the EDT is really haute couture. The EDT is razor sharp. I mean, it is an haute couture piece. The EDP lacks that razor sharp focus. It's a little bit more on the warm side. It doesn't walk that thin line between hot and cold. It leans more towards the hot, so it's no longer razor sharp anymore. It's kind of whoop, it fades into the warmer territory. Um, it's very Olivier Paul's, you know. He kind of goes more for that warmer nuance and facet. So is it better? It's debatable. I personally like the conceptuality of this one, which makes this one less easy to wear or to love. Olivier's version is more mass appealing. It's easier to understand. Let's just put it that way. You know, it's less complicated. It's more just warm. This one is cold and warm, and it's battling right in between all the time, which makes it very complex. Olivier's is a little bit leaning more towards, I'm more warm, so I'm more simplified. Choices, what can I say? But I love both. Mm. Oh, man. This this one is really, and you cannot really wear it every day, you know. It's so special that you need to be in the right state of mind, in the right psychological mood. You need to feel a very, very specific type of way to enjoy this one in the proper way. Like everything has to be perfect. You have to have just taken a shower, you've just done your hair, you've done your face, makeup if you wear makeup, you put on your jewelry if you wear jewelry. Like you're all made up, everything is done. You know, you have the day set up in front of you. There's no surprises up ahead. You are in control and you own that moment. And then you put on this outfit that was also made with a lot of precision and control. And you just feel like everything. Those are rare moments in life, at least in my life. I don't have everything under control all the time. Forget about it. I wish, but no. But when it happens and when I feel, ooh, I feel like everything is ticking just right. Everything is on schedule, on time. I am on fleek. That's when 31 Rue Cambon comes into play. And usually I feel that way around September because finally the heat of summer is letting us go a little bit because I suffer in the heat a lot. So this one makes me feel like, oh, I'm in control finally of my life. Big illusion, but we try. Now the third one, and while we're at it, thumb up the video if you're enjoying it. Thank you guys so much. Never forget to thumb up the video. The third one is a parfum. You know, Chanel is discontinuing the parfums, but I've heard rumors that they're bringing them back again with new bottles, hopefully around about Christmas time, 2024. Let's see if that really happens or not. The Les Exclusives parfums have been discontinued as of now. They're still selling leftover stock apparently, but let's see what happens in the future. But anyway, they've also discontinued the spray version, at least in America, of Coco Mademoiselle, the parfum. In its spray version, they still make the splash bottle. This is, however, the 7.5 ml spray. Used to be refillable, but then they stopped selling the refills. Then they started selling just the full-on combo of the two. Oh, man. Again, patchouli, just like in 31 Rue Cambon. And also we have a smidge of patchouli in Cristal EDP. This is a fruit chuli. This is the queen of the Y2K era. Boy, the memories. The early 2000s. Jacques Polge for Chanel launches. Coco Mademoiselle. The Eau de Toilette and Parfum. The Eau de Parfum also came a little bit later. This thing, it was so obnoxious in the beginning. Everybody would wear it, and it was such a smell of the Y2K era. But this one has so steadily remained. It is actually said that from time to time, the sales of Coco Mademoiselle surpass the sales of Chanel No. 5 even. So this one has so steadily remained thick-headed on the market that I can really say that it has definitely surpassed its own limitation of being segregated to the Y2K era smell. Yes, this is a fashion. This fruit chuli vibe is a fashion of the Y2K era. But Coco Mademoiselle has really earned throughout the decades its rightful place in the pantheon and the Olympus of Chanel perfumes. This is a classic Chanel perfume by now. I mean, it has really earned its right to stand right next to Chanel No. 5, believe it or not. And like I said, in some cases, even surpassing its sales. All that obnoxiousness of everybody wearing it back in the day has now turned into such a wonderful nostalgia. I can't even tell you. I have to. Okay. On top of Cristal, why not? Oh, man. That gorgeous fruity accord mixed with the patchouli and the aldehydes and citruses and the jasmine and the rose. That powdery accord in there as well, smidge of vanilla. They just swim together in this forest. Coco was, and it's the patchouli that's growing in this forest, hiding somewhere there where it's a little bit more sunny but also shadowy. That's where patchouli loves to live. And this is Coco Mademoiselle to me. In fact, I chose these kind of peachy colors that go into slightly delicate pink, typical signature color of Coco Mademoiselle. Both the liquid also as well as the bottle. You can see how the liquid is a pinky peachy color. Kind of goes between this hue and that hue. That's kind of the textile. If this perfume were a textile, it would have that particular color combination. And if you can get your hands on the Parfum of Coco Mademoiselle, I highly recommend it. It is, olfactively speaking, such an experience. Again, it's Chanel's version of nature. We're going into the woods today and we're gonna go visit Coco Chanel, the musical. And we're kind of losing ourselves in these woods. We're going deeper and deeper into these woods. And Coco Mademoiselle is a sort of a promise of better times up ahead. It is such an optimistic fragrance. You guys, the optimism in this one is unparalleled, really. I mean, there are a few other Chanel perfumes that give that optimism. Number 22 is a highly optimistic and giving perfume. Gardenia, in many ways, can also go into that direction. But Coco Mademoiselle it's kind of hope for youth. And it's a youthful hope. It's a youthful embrace of sunshine and better times to come. It's such a hopeful perfume. I mean, who knew, right? That so many decades after its release, it would come to a place and to a point where it feels like home when you smell it. And it brings back wonderful memories and it just makes you feel alive. I mean, Coco Mademoiselle, because it has been so popular and reviewed by so many people, a lot of people just don't give it the credit anymore that it deserves. A lot of people just kind of say, oh yeah, Coco Mademoiselle, sure, we know it. You know, some people throw shade at Coco Mademoiselle. They say this is the hooker perfume. This is the perfume that the men buy their mistresses and their, well, because their mistresses love to wear this perfume, they buy it also for their wife because they don't want to come home and smell of the mistress. They want to smell of the same perfume that their wives are wearing. So this perfume has a very cocotte reputation, if you may, but unjustly so. This one also smells really of youth and willing to go out there to try stuff out in the world, enjoy life with effervescence and energy. And so when summer is at an end in September and summer is fading, this one is a promise that a new summer will come again, a new spring will come after winter. This one promises to you that there will be another spring, that everything will be in bloom yet again. The patchouli is indicating the beginning of autumn and winter, and that wet soil that's coming our way, and the harvest season, and the sleeping, dormant beauty that is nature in winter. But then there's that jasmine and those fruity notes and the rose in here that are promising to us a wonderful new spring right after the winter has passed. Man, I mean, this perfume is, it deserves way more accolades than it gets, to be perfectly honest with you. So that's why you're here with me on, on my channel for this reason, you know, to give these beauties, to give them longevity and memory that they deserve, in my opinion, because these are masterpieces. Okay. And thumb up the video if you're enjoying it. Um, Now, the next perfume, finally, we're getting to the berries. All of this forest is imbued with these berries. Some are ginormous, they almost look like apples. Some are tiny berries. They are edible, even though they are almost alien-like. And again, we have our jasmine, we have ilang ilang, and we have an added element, of course, rose, but also tuberose. And we have the green facet of tuberose. That's why this sun kind of beautiful gold. I love these colors so much. I could just like stare at this background forever. And it's a bittersweet thing because I use these backgrounds only once. And so it just I want to live in this landscape for a long time. I don't want the video to end, but alas, what are you going to do? All good things come to an end. And so here is my berry perfume from Chanel with the green tuberose. I have been enamored with Coco Mademoiselle, with Gabrielle Lo. Gabrielle Lo, the latest. I mean, so enamored. Look what a dent I put into this bottle. I mean, I am obsessed with this perfume. I just got it a short while ago. You know, in late July, early August. So for the amount of Chanel perfumes, and I basically have, you know, all of the perfumes they release, I have. So for the amount of perfumes, Chanel perfumes that I have and that I use, to have used in such a short time so much of this just tells you how much this thing is gorgeous. So it has red berries. Oh, so delicate, but it's so beautiful. Oh my God. I mean, I love my Parfum of Gabrielle, which is like my favorite concentration of Gabrielle, but L'eau is so clever. I'm currently more obsessed with L'eau than I am with Parfum, which is very rare for me to say, but this one is just that good. And it ages so well when it starts macerating with a bit of oxygen. Mm. So it is particular to note that this one has a green facet of tuberose from Grasse implemented in it, which gives it a wet vibe, foresty vibe, collecting berries in the forest, but there's some sun over there, and tuberose likes to bloom late at night, early morning, so it kind of gives us the vibe. All the berries are ready to be plucked. They are ripe, but they appear a little bit later down the road. It resembles a little bit Rouge numéro 1, L'eau rouge, also by Olivier Polge for Chanel, which is like a body mist, very, very light, very heavy on the berries. It was his first excursion into the berry realm for Chanel. Very shy first tentative excursion into the berry realm with L'Eau Rouge. I love L'Eau Rouge to bits, albeit it lasts like 10 minutes on your skin. But those 10 minutes, it's invigorating, refreshing, gorgeous, but it is just a mist. It's meant to energize you while you're doing all the other skin routine that they're selling you with the number one skincare product. So it's not meant to actually be a perfume, but then they kind of went for the berries in this perfume. So now for the first time ever, we have a Chanel perfume with red berries in it that is not sold to us as a body mist. Yes, it's a low. It's an eau de toilette concentration, but then like even lighter because it's a low. So it could have been a cologne. Very reminiscent of Olivier Polge's Les Eaux range for Chanel. This could have been a Les Eaux. I love the Les Eaux collection, by the way. But this thing, oh man, when it starts drying down and all of the orange blossom and the citruses and the aldehydes and that metallic-y opening, that grapefruity accord that we had, especially in the eau de parfum, the first iteration of Gabrielle, when they subside and that jasmine and ylang ylang, that jasmine kicks in and the ylang ylang kicks in, and then that green tuberose imbues everything together with the berries into this balmy, soft, delicate goodness. I keep sniffing myself. Once the dry down kicks in, I cannot stop. And I feel like I'm walking through the woods early in the morning, picking fresh berries from this wonderful forest we're in, and they are covered by morning mist. They have those droplets of water around them, so they are in a strange way hydrating also. The flavor, it feels like you're drinking a bit of water while you're eating the berries. And that's how Gabrielle L'Eau smells. It really smells a little bit of water. It gives you the feeling you're hydrating while you're smelling it. This is not a hydrating product, just to be very clear, but it's energizing. It is so beautiful. And and the quality of this isn't proven in the dry down, because once the dry down kicks in and all of that metallic opening vibe is gone, you are left with bliss. Bliss. On some people's skin doesn't last very long, on others it lasts a little bit longer. This is not meant to last very long. This is meant to be reapplied and enjoyed throughout the day. And I love respraying this one and kind of giving it that harsh, smelling that slightly harsh opening with that metallic accord, like entering the woods and kind of getting ready to get a little bit dirty as we're walking through the woods to then find our beautiful little meadow in the middle of the woods where all the berries grow. And we're heading towards that meadow. You see, somewhere down there. We have to first get lost in the woods to be able to find that gorgeous sun covered meadow with all the berries growing in it. And so it starts off a little bit rough, but then as it dries down, it gets softer and softer, and the trees dissipate, and we are in this open field meadow where everything is safe and warm and cozy. And oh, it's so good. Such a positive. I mean, I don't know what I would do without Chanel perfumes. I would really, I don't know. And by the way, I'm not sponsored, just to be very clear. I bought all of these perfumes myself, so this is not in any way, shape, or form a sponsored video. Chanel is not endorsing me, although I wish they would. All the amount of sales they got thanks to me talking about their perfumes. But hey, I guess some corporations really only care about the money. But anyway, allegedly, we digress. So the beauty of, and they're so beautiful that I'm fine with spending all the money on them. They just are that amazing to me. They help me out through hard times. Um, they help me kind of reset my thinking. Sometimes, I tend to kind of fall into a darker place and I think dark thoughts, and then I'm like, wait, snap out of it, very Cher. Snap out of it. And from Moonstruck. and then I spray on a Chanel perfume, and it just elevates my mood. There's just so much hope. Which brings me to the fifth fragrance for the month of September. And thumb up the video if you're enjoying it. Thank you so much. As we go through these woods, we realize that there's a sound surrounding us in a far distance, because at this point we are very, very deep in the woods. But we're starting to hear the sound of water and waves breaking on the shore. And we realize we are on an island. Huh, we have been on an island all this time. We are surrounded by woods on this magical island that Coco Chanel left us. And so, of course, our fifth perfume in September would be none other than Bois des Îles. Bois des Îles, which also means forests of the islands, or the forest of the islands, or the woods of the islands. It's a sandalwood masterpiece created in the second half of the 20s by Ernest Beau for Coco Chanel. So this is from the time when Chanel was there. This is the eau de parfum concentration, but I do also have the parfum as well as the eau de toilette. Love all of them, really. Olivier Polge delivered the eau de parfum, and the eau de parfum is, again, like he loves to do it, citrusy and warm. So this is a little bit warmer than the other iterations of Bois des Îles. It is also a little bit more citrusy in the opening. I'm going to do 3 spray. I'm going to cover everything. Give all of these other perfumes that I've sprayed on the outer shell of this island, just to kind of wrap it up with a pretty little bow. Oh man, Bois des Îles. Oh, we have arrived. I mean, once you understand the beauty of Bois des Îles, you have understood the beauty of Chanel perfumes. This one is very hard to understand. It is very heavy on the aldehydes, and a lot of people do not like that. But if you see through those aldehydes, which are that thick forest of aldehydes, and they are synthetic, and this is also why these trees are kind of bionicle and synthetic, because these berries look like apples, but they're not. I assure you, these are berries. They're not apples. Once you see through the thick forest, you get to that meadow where these other perfumes are waiting for you. You get to the core where the sandalwood thrives together with powdery notes, with iris, with orris root, with jasmine, with tuberose, ilang ilang, May rose as well. Oh man, this one. Mm. And guess who we find in the middle of the meadow waiting for us? Coco herself. She has decked the table. She has set it up for us. And we are now finally together with her in the middle of this gorgeous island. And in the center of the island, the trees are all gone, and we have only wheat that Coco loved so much, symbol of prosperity, good fortune, and success. There's this beautiful wooden mahogany table set up in the center of the meadow. And Coco is there sitting, waiting for us to have supper together. So we realized this was twilight after all. And legend wants it, but also many biographies written on Coco Chanel state that one of the reasons why she kept her ballerina slender figure all her life was the type of food she ate. Coco, it is said, especially in her later years, because the older you get, the less food you actually need and the less you eat. She would eat basically once a day after work. She would have a bone broth, like a broth with veal. So it would be cow's origins, uh, slightly salted, not too much, very nourishing, the smidge of meat, but it's a soup. And that's what she would eat. It would get ready, prepared for her, and that would be her meal of the day. She would get all of her electrolytes through it, the amount of salt that she needs, other nourishing factors that she needed, the proteins that she needed. And I envision her sitting at that table, eating with us. She's drenched in either Bois des Îles or Chanel number 5. She used to mix Chanel number 5 and Cuir de Russie quite a bit. But in the 20s, she wore Bois des Îles a lot as well, second half of the 20s. And so you have that smell kind of emanating from her. And all around us, we realize that this island is alive thanks to her. It thrives and pulsates because she's feeding it her energy. So we get these wafts as the breeze flies by of all of these smells and all of these perfumers that have worked for her perfume empire, and all of them have contributed a little bit of their own love for her, but also a little bit of their own love for her legacy, whether it be Ernest Beau or Henri Robert or Christopher Sheldrake or Jacques Polge or now Olivier Polge. All of these men, wish there were a woman as well in that list, but for now it's been men. Who knows what the future brings, however. Would love to see what Patricia de Nicolai could do at Chanel, but we digress. They all contribute with their work and their knowledge and their love and passion to this legacy, to this Chanel island of perfumery. And it really is an island. It really is. To understand fully Chanel perfumes, you have to envision yourself leaving this earth and going on to a deserted island where there is another reality. It's its own reality. It's its own concept of pleasure, its own concept of desire, its own concept of pain, its own concept of delusion, disillusion, fear, pain, and hope. And on that island, everything is possible, almost a little bit maybe like Peter Pan's island. Except this one is an haute couture island. It is made, tailored to perfection, to our needs, to our feelings, to our emotions, to our desires. And Coco is always at the center of it. Don't you ever forget. Without her, there would be none of this. There would be no Chanel number 5. There would be no camellia brooches. There would be no jackets with chains at the bottom. There would be no 255 double flat bag. There would be no jersey outfits. There would be no freeing from the corsets. There would be no fashion, really. There would be a utilitarian vision of comfort and prestige, but not fashion, especially not fashion imbued in style, and the allure that goes with it. And these perfumes, the Chanel perfumes, are fundamental to deliver that utopian island of Chanel. So when I see the brand Chanel, oftentimes I hear from sales associates from the beauty boutiques telling me that the fashion boutique staff and the fashion boutiques are treated better than the beauty boutiques because they bring in more money, because that's the fashion aspect of things. And, Chanel is about fashion. Perfumes are just like whatever. They're like the cheapest thing that Chanel has to offer. And I'm like, yeah, don't make this about money, people. Don't make that big mistake to make things about money, because Chanel perfumes are just as important to the Chanel legacy as are her haute couture pieces and her diamonds or whatever. Just as important, in many cases even more important, because their reach is much broader than the reach of the clothes that are unaffordable to most people. A piece of Chanel heritage within a perfume tells way more stories than a piece of clothing, because way more people can wear a perfume, can afford a perfume, can connect their history and their stories to the perfume, allowing the perfume to extend its longevity and its life even further into the future. So it's a very fascinating thing, perfumes for Chanel. And it is a shame in my opinion, that the company Chanel at the moment kind of disregards the perfumes in a way. It doesn't see them as this important legacy factor for Chanel because it doesn't bring as much money. Although they do bring in money, because if we look at the massive amount of their mass-released perfumes and how much money they make altogether, it's probably a lot of money. But individually speaking, not a big deal when one human being, one client, comes into a Chanel boutique, because they also sell their perfumes in the fashion boutiques as well, not just in the beauty boutiques. A client that comes in and that wants to purchase a $500 200 ml Les Exclusifs perfume is treated in a way differently than a customer that comes in and is ready to drop $30,000 on one outfit. $30,000 or $500. Money-wise, big difference. But Chanel DNA-wise, no difference. That perfume must be treated with the same regard, respect, and nobility as the garment, in my humble opinion. And the proof is in the pudding. Coco Chanel told us herself, she always used to say, luxury is not the opposite of poverty. Luxury is the opposite of vulgarity. For any Chanel staff treating her perfumes as inferior objects as opposed to the clothing are behaving in a vulgar manner. So it is literally the opposite of Chanel's credo and heritage to treat the perfumes as inferior items as opposed to the clothing and the jewelry. The perfumes are the quintessential DNA of Chanel. On this island, but also everywhere else where they are sold, worn, and loved. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to go back into the woods, through the thick woods and the mist, and we're going to meet up with Coco because we have some more talking to do. I hear that Mizia is at it again, so there's a little bit of gossip that's going to happen right now. Coco loves her gossip, and I love to sit down right next to her and listen. Thank you so much for watching. Thumb up the video if you've enjoyed it. And until next time, never forget to never give up on Chanel perfume love. Bye.